Well, welcome. We'll start because it's a minute past, and it's good to see you all. I'll just come. There's two people in the waiting room, so I'll wait for them to join because I don't want to repeat myself. Hello, Philip. Good. We're getting a good time. Welcome. So, just to clarify, this meeting tonight, this training session is about becoming an area director. Okay, it's not about running a club contest. That's next week on the 14th. So, if you've not got anything to do on Valentine's Day, you can come along and learn to love contests. I'll weave these things in effortlessly, I think. But anyway, so it's good to see you. So thank you, Moira. We're going to look tonight about the role of area director. Now, the role of area director is a crucial one in Toastmasters. Oh God, seeing myself on a big screen, horrible. The role of area director is a key one because area directors are responsible for a number of clubs, usually where possible no more than 4, but sometimes 5. And you're the link between the district and the clubs. You are the person who gets to know the clubs. You're the person who goes in and visits them and talks to the presidents and the committees. And you're the sort of link to all that. And it really is a crucial role because if ADs are telling us there are some issues here with this club or there are some general issues, then as a district, we can do something about that. So for me, and I'm not just saying this because you're all here, and I know there are some DDs here, and they're very important too, but the area director is the one that really is there. You are finding out about the clubs, you're supporting the clubs, you're helping the clubs to set goals and so on. So it's a crucial role. And it's one that we think is important enough to have a session on it tonight. So the aim of tonight is that you will go away having, and if you've got some questions, ask those questions, but going away with a knowledge of what the role entails. So what's expected of you, what you can gain from it, because in everything in Toastmasters, every role we do makes us a different person, helps our development. And I hope that will come through from our speakers tonight. It helps you. It helps you develop strategic management skills, interpersonal skills, conflict management skills, all those things. And they're things that, you know, you can transfer into your daily professional and work life. Now, I'm in the fortunate position, and I'm not saying this to rub it in, but I'm retired. So, you know, these things aren't transferable to anything because I don't do anything other than Toastmasters and walk the dogs. But if you are starting out on your career, if you are in a profession where you want to progress, there are things you do as an area director that you can transfer into your work life. So it's not only just giving, because you will be giving, you'll be giving your expertise, you'll be giving your motivation, you'll be helping your clubs. It's not just that, it's also that you as a person can develop from this role, that you will develop these skills. And I hope the 3 people who are going to share with us tonight will emphasize what I'm saying. I can still see them on the top of my screen, so I'm looking at facial responses. So that's our aim for tonight, is that you go away, you've got your questions answered, and please, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to ask questions for us to answer those questions. And then at the end, I'll just go through the process by which we choose area directors. It's not done by the district. In some districts, they have a list of people that they choose and they ask them to be area directors. In our district, areas vote for people, but we'll talk about that in a bit. We've got 3 very experienced and knowledgeable Toastmasters with us tonight to help us. We've got, first of all, Asma Riaz, who is based over in Walsall, it's near Birmingham. You get very upset over there if you say they're from Birmingham. She's from Walsall. She's a member there, she's treasurer there, and she's also a member of the No Excuses Club, which is an online club set up in Area 6 in Division E in the Midlands. Now, I've known Asma for a long time. She has performed every role, I believe, on the committee. She's currently treasurer, but she's done most roles. She has been an AD, an area director, and then she became Division E director a couple of years ago. So she's got that experience. So that's Asma. Do you want to say a couple of words now, Asma, about what you think the role is? And then we'll go on to the other 2. I did ladies first. So
yeah, sure. So for the area director role, you're really, like Danny mentioned, that link between the clubs and the district. This is, I think, the first part outside of the club where you get to meet new people, new clubs, or your neighbouring clubs, and really put those leadership skills that you want into practice. And you can practice delegating, you can practice, like Danny said, conflict management, and really using all your resources to get the best out of your clubs. Thank you, Danny.
Okay, thanks, Asma. And our second panelist tonight is John Roybrook from Ireland. He is a member, I'll get this right, he's a member of Temple Bar Toastmasters, IFSC Toastmasters in Dublin. He is immediate past president at the moment, and he was area director last year. He's now on his 2nd pathway, so he's on his way to a DTM. Yes, John. So I remember working with John last year, and we did some work with LinkedIn, hopefully trying to get them to charter as a club. LinkedIn didn't always play ball, so it didn't happen, but John did a lot of work with that, and that's one aspect of the area director role that you could be involved in, because we always want to set up new clubs, so you could be the sort of person who works with a club to set that up. But anyway, I'll introduce John. If you could just say a few things about your role as AD.
Thanks, Danny. Yeah, I had the pleasure of working with you last year, and it's a pity some of particularly the likes of the tech companies like to do things their own way, but I know they have clubs in the same company in the US and India, so who knows, maybe a little bit down the line they'll charter one. As you mentioned, yeah, I spent last year as area director for Area 22 in Division C. It was definitely an enjoyable year. I was kind of drafted in last minute to step into the role, so I was learning as I was going, which brought its own challenges. I wasn't always clear on the expectations sometimes, but overall, similar to what you're saying, like we, as an area director, you're first line of support for clubs, and that featured very heavily in my area because we had one club where when I started, they just said they didn't know if they'd make it the year, and they were looking at the club closing, and we had another club that was struggling quite a lot. So in terms of the leadership skills that came in there was sitting down with them, making a plan to how they can survive the year, how they can grow membership and get more engaged. And then also there was and yeah, so you're connecting them then with clubs that are more successful, looking for solutions, finding the likes of a club that has had really successful PR and putting them in touch with that person so they can learn, sit down, have a meeting, see what worked well for the other clubs and put it into practice. So for my role in the AD, not everything went well throughout the year, but that was one thing I would hang my hat on. It was an achievement that the club not only survived the year, but they did quite well. they didn't quite get distinguished, but hopefully that will be a goal for them this year then. And the main goal was seeing them survive, whereas some of the other clubs did get distinguished. But it's each level of achievement is down to the down to what you're working with. So it's just a way of framing it. So there was a lot for me to take away. I learned a lot as well, and the exposure to different brilliant speakers. Even in the clubs that were struggling, there was brilliant speakers. So I learned a lot, and I got stuck in myself. I participated in their meetings. So I learned a lot from the different speakers, the different way meetings are run, and then the hands-on of being the AD and advising them, and then looking for advice if I didn't have the answer. So it was a good year. So cheers, Danny. Hopefully that gave a bit of insight.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, John. So, I mean, just pulling a few things out there, there were a few things in what John said about the role. It's not always an easy role. It's not an easy ride, but sometimes if you do the difficult things, sometimes that can be more meaningful for you. Because one thing I want to stress, I mean, I've already said it, but I want to stress tonight that the AD role is for you, is a role where you work with clubs and you give to clubs, but it's also something that you get from it. So it could be some transferable skills for your work. It could just be that you have worked with clubs and, as John said, taken a club that was going to close and make sure it stays open, so that in the next few months it will become a solid club, a good club. And just the satisfaction that you have kept that club going, or you've worked with clubs and the members in it, so that they are benefiting from the Toastmasters learning program, from pathways and from everything else the club can give them. So there is that sense of satisfaction as well. And the third panelist we've got tonight is Justin Barry. Now, Justin is a member of Tallaght, I hope I pronounced that correctly, club in Dublin, where he's VPPR. But Justin has been around Toastmasters for a long time. I know he won't mind me saying that. He first joined back in September '96. So by my maths, that's about nearly 28 years. So he has got a wealth of experience of what works and what doesn't work. He has been an area director. At the moment, he is on the engaging humour pathway, and I'll just tell him, ask him to say a few other things about himself. Justin.
Thank you, Danny. Welcome everyone to tonight's session. Just to give some context to my experience as area director, I had joined, as Danny mentioned, in 1996, and a couple of years later, I was president of the club, and purely because nobody stepped forward. And then after that, I went straight into area director, purely because I knew the person who was stepping forward as divisional director, and again, they didn't have anybody lined up to do that. I must say that I really didn't think I was qualified for the role, because at that point, I wasn't in any management job, or I really did it out of favour for my colleague, and so I really went into it not really knowing what to expect. However, having taken up that role as area director, I had a number of clubs in the Dublin region that I had to look after. Some of them were doing very well, and some of them were struggling a little bit. I really enjoyed my time, and I would encourage people to seriously consider the role, because you do learn a lot. And I don't want to repeat the sort of comments that have already been made, but I'll try and also make reference to something that hasn't been mentioned. So as area director, you do get the opportunity to help the club run the area contest, and they very much were looking for you to give guidance and support. You do get the opportunity to support any of the divisional conferences that go on. Generally, you get involved and help and support that as well. For my part, I was involved in as one of the judges at the division and at the district level contests, and I really enjoyed that as well. And you get a situation sometimes where you are visiting your clubs and they're looking to you to provide leadership, to speak, to guide, to offer advice. And so in some cases, you are in a position where you need to sell Toastmasters to those club members, to those guests who are there that evening. So you're in a number of different roles, different situations. But overall, when I've looked back at that, I really have, it really has taught me a great deal. And I made a number of very good friends from that, role that I did. And it opened up, the networking opportunities as well. You get to, as you say, visit the clubs for the first time. And I have so many funny memories as well of those, which unfortunately we don't have time to go into now. But you do get the opportunity to try different things out, whether it's provide leadership or to provide, to manage the clubs on the ground. So yes, I really enjoyed my time. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you very much for that, Justin. Thank you, all three of you, for that. Now, this is the opportunity for you to ask your questions. You've been given a glimpse of what the experience of Asma and John and Justin has been. As I say, the aim tonight is for you to go away knowing enough about the role to make a decision about whether it's right and you want to do it. So, can you, if you've got a question, can you just put the digital hand up, which is the reactions at the bottom, and then I will see it at the top. Okay, any questions? Oh, wow. Sarinka, you said nobody would ask a question. I've got loads of questions here to ask them, but we've got some. Anyway, right, okay. Edith, ask your question.
Hello. Hello,
Hi.
everyone. Hi. So my question is, what is the time commitment as area director?
Who on the panel wishes to address that one?
I can go. Oh,
Justin, Asma, yeah.
Justin, you can go first.
Come on, let's not be too
Thank you,
polite. Come on,
so
Justin.
much. Thank you so much. I generally thought at the start it was going to take quite a bit of time and commitment, but actually it's not the case. You are committed to visit the club 2 times during the year. So if you've got 3 clubs, you've got six area director visits, and you really enjoyed that experience. There, of course, is also a couple of sessions where you need to run and plan for the year with the clubs themselves. For example, you need to decide who's going to actually run the area contests, and generally that's done on a rota basis. But yeah, so it very much depends on how much time you want to spend on it as well. But in the end, from my personal experience, it didn't take up much time, and because it's over the course of the year, you can spread that out. Hope that answers your question.
Perfectly. Thank you so much. Asma, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I can add a little bit extra to what Justin said. So, like Justin said, you do have to do 2 area visits twice a year. You also have district officer training, which you can attend, you should be attending. Those normally fall on weekends, and then you'll have your contests, and you should be, well, when I was area director, I tried to attend my club contests as well as the area contest itself, and then you'll attend the division contest in addition to those. So just plan your weekend out. But what I did find is that at the start of the year, literally on the 1st of July, I had my calendar planned out for the rest of the year. I met with my presidents and said, okay, when is your club contest? This is when division's going to be. This is when we're doing area. Plan your contest and work backwards. This is when COT's going to be, club officer training is going to be. This is when district officer training is. And plan everything at the start of your year. So you've got your calendar booked in. You know your clubs are not all having their contests on the same day, so you can attend whichever ones you want. And then that way you get buy-in from your presidents and your clubs to support you in your area contest and then in the division contest. So if you're a weekend person and you love your Saturday mornings like I do, I am not an early bird by any means necessary. But if you know when you need to do those Saturdays or the Sundays with the trainings or the contests, you can plan ahead around your social and your personal life as well. So that was pretty much, there is a little bit where there's weekends and evenings, but just plan ahead so you know what's you're heading for in the year to come.
Fantastic, thank you.
Anything else, Master John? Have you got anything else? Oh, there you are. Well,
The guys kind of pretty much covered it there. Just from my own perspective, reflecting on the year, you can probably, it depends what you put into it. Like you can get away with just going to your club meetings each semester and then filling out the reports and doing your 2 contests and a few other bits and bobs, but you don't really get a lot out of it. Like for me, I decided, particularly with my struggling clubs, one of them I tried to visit at every meeting, and maybe the other ones that were doing more okay, it was once a month. And while it was a bit more of a time commitment, I felt like I got a lot more from it. I got to know the people in the clubs. I volunteered on their club contests because I felt like if I was giving to them, I'd get back, and I did. You know, I got more support throughout the year, better lines of communication with them, and I think they felt like I was there to support them, and I was genuinely. So yeah, so the more I put into it, the more I felt I got out of it. Within reason, obviously, we have we have our own lives and work, but you could, depending on your circumstances, you can get away with putting in a little bit less time, but the more you put into it, the more you get out of it, really.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful.
That helped, Edith? That helped you? Good. Adhika.
Thank you, Danny. My question to the panel is, in terms of being the area director, do you have your own supporting team, like an area committee? Like for a club, for example, when you're on the committee, you have several committee members who support in different functions. Is it the same at area level?
Yeah, John, do you want to take that one first, please?
That's a good question. And it is similar to, so as an area director, you would have, I think Danny mentioned, typically 4 clubs. Some cases you might have 5. Above us, there's a division director who would have 4 or 5 maybe areas. So you are part of a team. You've got a leader, you've got your division director, and then you might have 4 or 5, or well, 3 or 4, not including yourself, other division directors. So you have people who are at the same level as you, who hopefully you can collaborate with and chat to them about challenges they're having in their areas. And then also you have somebody who is the leader, so you can touch base with them for kind of questions, stuff you haven't seen before. So there is, as all good Toastmaster stuff, it's designed with support and guidance. So there should always be somebody there, and if not the division director, there's always people willing to step in and give you advice. So the support is generally there.
Justin?
Yeah, yes, so yes, the support is there as was mentioned by John there. I was very fortunate actually as area director. I did actually look for a team member from each of the clubs that I was part of to help run the area and to help share information across the club. So that was purely on a voluntary basis. So you know, there were a number of challenges that the clubs had. One was in terms of completing their educational awards. One was in terms of actually promoting their club online. So I was able to find a volunteer from each of the clubs to help when required. So that was really nice. But that's something that's not expected, but it's something that you know, you could ask for if you feel that that's necessary. But as John had mentioned, there is the support from the divisional government and their team. So if you come on, you know, if you're not sure about how to proceed, or you're not clear about what path to take or what recommendation to actually give to the club, they're always there to give you that support. But I found it most rewarding by the fact that I built a small team with me, and you know, they felt part of that area initiative. And again, there wasn't, you know, we met you know, once every 2 months for 45 minutes online, and it seemed to work very well. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Asma, anything to add to that?
Just a small thing I wanted to add in addition to what Justin and John had said is the year before, maybe the year before, not the year before I did area director, I was actually area director assistant. So you can have an assistant to your area director role as well, which can be an additional support to other area directors and division directors. And I found that so useful, so I could really understand the expectations of the area director, and I was working closely with the area director to know what they were doing and how they were executing. So when I took over the following year, it seemed a little less daunting, a little bit more seamless. So I was able to step into the role a little better. So if you can have that opportunity, or if you can find someone in your area who's still not quite sure, they can still be your assistant, and then you've got your succession already and waiting because they're working alongside you. But I found that really useful.
Yeah, thanks for that. I mean, I would add to that yes, do involve other people. My advice would be not to try and do it all by yourself, because as people said in answering the first question, you can make so much of this role. You know, I do know some area directors that are almost at every meeting of every club that's in their area. Now, I don't suggest that. You know, the minimum is 2 visits a year, but it would be better probably more than twice. But, you know, you can get people to help you. And I know we're now talking about area directors for 24, 25, but if you do decide after tonight to stand and become successful, you need to start thinking about 25, 26, because you'll want to bring people on, and you'll want people to, because you want your area to be successful. So yeah, you can have other people to assist you, and you've got the support of a division. You know, you've got a division director, you've got the other ADs in your division. So, and of course, you've got us at the district that can help and support you. So yeah, thank you very much for that question, Baraka. Mike.
Hi, Danny. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Mike. Yep.
Great. Danny, I have 3 questions.
Oh, good.
Okay. So will I give them one at a time?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So the first one is what are the specific goals or criteria that need to be fulfilled to fulfill the role? You may have covered this at the start. I was just a few minutes late starting.
No, okay. Asma?
There's a few little bits that you have to complete. So one is your area director visit reports to be submitted on time, and there's a deadline. I think the first visits have to be done before the end of November, and the second one's the end of May. The reports used to be a lot more complicated than what they are now. They're a lot easier to go into the system and follow the reports.
Okay.
I did feel like when I was area director, I had to write an essay for each and every club, but that's not the case anymore. It's on a star basis, and you can add comments as you wish. So that's one of the criteria you have to fill. Attending district officer training, just as you would as a club committee member, where you have to attend club officer training. District officer training is one of those. Can't remember what the other criteria were, Danny, but I think those were 2. Those were sticking to my brain. So maybe Justin and John can help me out here. What are the criteria we have to fill as area director?
I've got the best excuse possible, because that is 20 odd years ago since I last done it. So I don't think I can add anything more to that. I think the key thing is that you actually you are filling the report for the club visits, but you know, one of the objectives, of course, is to help the club achieve its goals. And you know, but interestingly, you might be in a situation where a club is saying, you know, we're looking to get a distinguished Toastmaster award this time around, and we say, and always going with the question, well, what's stopping you from achieving your select distinguished or president distinguished? Is there anything I can do to help you? So there is the opportunity to encourage the clubs to raise the bar in some respects, but as you said, the paperwork is around visiting the clubs twice a year and to complete the reports and send that off, and to be involved in any of the divisional activities. Maybe Danny might be able to.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, just basically to summarize that question, yeah, the minimum you have to do is 2 visits, as Asma and Justin have just said. The reports have to be in by the first one by the end of November, the second one by the end of May.
Okay.
Now, my recommendation is that you try and get that first report done as soon as possible, so you get to know the clubs, so you've sort of got a benchmark, so that when you go back after Christmas, you look to see if, you know, they want to improve they want more people on pathways, and they want more people progressing through pathways. Has that happened? You know, so the sort of that's why the 2 visits are like that, because you see it at the beginning and then you see it towards the sort of 9 month, 8 month, 9 month mark, so you can see if they've progressed. So the 2 area visits and 2 reports. The contest, each area has to run a contest. My advice, and this is going back to Bavaka's question, try and find somebody else who will run it. Try and get somebody to be contest chair. Try and get somebody to be chief judge, because you can then focus on the other areas of your area director role, and they can get on with that, and that might help them decide whether they want to become more involved. So, you know, I'm going to stop talking there because I've talked too much, but that would be my piece of advice. That's the least you've got to do as an area director.
Thanks, Danny.
Can I just add to that? Sorry, Danny, I did remember something else. There's an area council meeting as well. So that's a meeting with your presidents. You can do that normally after club officer training, or you can have a Teams meeting or in-person meeting.
Okay.
But you have to hold those twice a year as well at minimum.
Yeah, your area council is the president, VPE and VPM from each club. And I do believe that if you formalised it at the beginning, if you've said that you're going to have an assistant, that person can also be part of the council. But that has got to be...
Are those twice a year?
Sorry?
Twice a year?
At least. My advice would be, and again, that's my advice, I don't know whether Asma, Justin, John agrees with this, I would meet your presidents and VPEs at least a monthly. The area council doesn't have to be monthly, but it has to be at least twice a year, and the second one you elect area director. But
okay, I'm glad I asked. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, the area council is important because
being club president,
you know, it's where all the clubs can come together. And as Asma said, at least 2 of them can be when there's the cot. So you have your cot and the contest, and you can just ask the area council to be there, and you can meet there. Sorry about that. Your second question, Mike.
I hope the next questions will be yes or no. I'm sure people are fed up of listening.
No.
Is there a budget for contests for the area director?
I'm going to let them tell you.
That's the best question I've heard, Mike. Is there a budget for area
How much can I make out of this?
That's not a simple yes or no. Okay, there is some money that's allocated to you by the district for you as an area director, but it is limited on what you can actually spend it on.
Okay.
So normally with contests, they have to be self-sufficient. So if you get a venue, it's easy to find a venue where maybe it's in a pub, but you can get the venue for free as long as you order lunch. There are a few of those places dotted around, but if you have to pay for a venue, if you can't use your standard one, you have to take that money from the people who are attending, and I think normally if you have an educational, so I think that's a little bit of a caveat. If you have an educational as part of your contest, it's classed as a training event, and then yes, you can use your area director budget for it.
Okay. And
Yeah,
thank you.
it's not a simple yes or no question, that one, Mike.
I wasn't expecting one, Danny.
Yeah, you do have a budget, but as Asma said, you can't spend it on contests. That contests are supposed to be self-financing.
Okay.
It's to be spent on things like educational, or if you and as an area decide to have a PR event and you want some flyers, as long as the money's spent equally, you can't just work with one club if
Yeah,
they want
gotcha.
to improve. The money's got to be spent fairly amongst all clubs. Some areas use it to pay for a meetup. You know, the meetup. They use it to share with the clubs the cost of meetup for the area.
Okay. That's great. Thank you.
Just to
last
add,
question.
Mike, sorry, before you go to your next question, there is a separate budget for your mileage. So if you have to travel to your club at visits, or if you need to travel to district officer training, you can claim mileage on those things. I think if it's over 20 miles, I'm not sure if that's changed.
Yeah.
But that's a separate budget to what you get for being an area director.
Yeah.
Thanks, Asma. That's great. And my last question, which you probably can't answer, is, are the areas likely to stay the same in the next Toastmasters year? The makeup of the areas.
I can answer that one. I can't answer yes or no. I can say that we have a realignment committee that we have every year, and every district has to have one. It's a Toastmaster requirement. And the job of the realignment committee is to look at the structure of areas and divisions. They have to make sure that no area has got too many clubs, because that's not fair on the AD. So, you know, as I said earlier, 4 clubs is usually the number of clubs in an area. Occasionally 5, but it's the job of the realignment committee to make sure that areas stick to about 4 or 5. So it might be that they look at it and say, right, well, this area maybe needs to move some clubs to another area, but that's for them, and they'll report that on the DEC, the district executive committee, in March. So
thank you.
I know I can see Elizabeth there. Do you have anything to add? Because Elizabeth's the go-to expert on this. Is there anything you wish to add, Elizabeth, on that? District Director Elizabeth, please, welcome you to the floor.
Thank you, Danny. What I would say is the alignment committee are currently doing the analysis on this, and we'll have I would say the first shot at the report at the DEC meeting on the 9th of March. If there's no movement of clubs, then no change, but there may be opportunity for change. But as I said, we'll have the first report from the alignment committee on the 9th of March.
Thanks,
so keep your ears open for that information.
And sorry, Director Elizabeth, they also have to look at where there might be new clubs. So
absolutely.
We do have some new clubs in the pipeline. So if they go into a particular area, then it might make that area too big. So there might need to be some tweaking and movement there.
Quite, and it's a balance. It's a balancing act, because we may lose some clubs, and we may gain some. We're definitely looking to gain some clubs. So I think that's why we get the first shot of what it may look like on the 9th of March. But then in April, we should have a pretty good view of how the district is going to be looking in terms of new clubs and so on, and alignment.
Thank you. That's great.
Thank you.
Is that it, Mike?
Yeah. Thank you, Danny.
Is there any of our panelists want to add anything to those 3 questions? Justin? John? No? John, I keep losing you.
I'm still there, Danny.
Oh, there you are. Right, sorry. Are you anything to add?
No, I think it was all good. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any more questions? Come on, we're doing well so far. Put your hands up, come on. I'm sure there must be more things that you want to know about the role of an area director.
Thank you, Danny.
Syrinka.
Dominic had his hand up at a point. I'm not sure if he still has a question.
Okay, Dominic.
Thank you. I did. I'm in a car. That's why I'm not on camera.
Oh, no problem.
My question's been answered, actually. It was just about support for it. So
Okay.
it has been answered. Thanks.
So we've answered it. Thank you. Well done. Sorry, Babika, another question. Go on. Over to you.
Sorry, just a very quick question. We might have covered this already, but is there anyone online who's been an area director this year? If they can come forward and talk about any challenges they've had this year with the role, and what they found also was useful to help them in their respective role.
I don't think we've got any current area directors. John?
I have been director years ago, but I can give some of experience. Yeah.
Go on then, Maura.
Well, my experience and advice that I would like to give if you want to be area director is just to focus of what you really want to do. In my experience that I have as an area director, nobody will tell you what will happen or where you are going. And it's still with your principles and core values. It's the main thing and what you really want to do as an area director. You can say, okay, I have my distinguished area director, but I can tell you how it started. I had 5 clubs. 4 were struggling, and only 1 was a corporate and was in very good conditions. Nobody told me who will be the presidents. Nobody told me who will be the supporting. I just know who was my division director. I want to do as always I do, and I still doing. Trying to do my best, give my best, because people will remember your name. Successfully, when you ask how long you need to put it, it is important the numbers of clubs that you have. Some of the area directors that we met, some of them, they have 3, 4, and they were not struggling. So they don't have a lot of time to put in. When you see, I was lucky that at that time, my presidents were relying on me. And I know that I need to put my hard work. There is no way that you feel afraid. You feel afraid that you work so hard, but nothing is paid off. If you work hard, you put your effort, and it's paid off. I just still remember that the president thanks me, and it's the only thing that you want to see successful. Imagine a president working very hard, maybe his first time, maybe experience. And we were looking actually a location. This was before COVID. And when you see when all the presidents work hard, they don't want the club fade or disappear. It's when you need to stand. It's when you believe that the impossible can become possible. So in relation to their time, it depends on the clubs that you have. Number 2, if they are in good conditions, you need to know the truth. Sometimes at the beginning, some presidents, when, oh yes, the area director is coming, and they want to show the best. You need to know the truth. If they are really struggling, you say, I'm here with you. It's like a friend. Like a friend is struggling and doesn't tell you how you can help. And this is my experience as an area director, and I will never regret. And I can say some area directors that they will be in future. Communicate your division director, communicate your president. The members are so important. Members at first, and then your district director. And if all of you work in harmony, good days. But you will have challenges, I can tell you. After COVID, before COVID, all depend on you. And I agree totally with Danny. I think that is very hard when you need to do the reports. I do these reports, imagine for 5 clubs, it was really pages. And when you see how, like, when you see how they are now, Like you need to deal with club officer trainings, you need to deal with contests, you need to deal with reports, and you need to deal with many things, but you need to plan in advance and just do your best and trust yourself. This is the first time. And don't hesitate to ask for help.
All right. Yep. Thank you, Bora. I agree with some of those. Sorry, District Director Elizabeth.
Thank you, PQD Danny. I wanted to just add a few words because I was district director, I'm district director now. I was an area director and I had 6 clubs in my area. So that's the maximum you can have. I think the things that helped me the most was, number one, having a deputy. And this wasn't just a deputy in name. This person was very, very active. It's very important when you become the area director that, first of all, you get to know your division director, because that's a source of mentorship and it's a source of help. The next thing we did was to look at your portfolio. Of the 6 clubs I inherited, 2 were very strong, 2 were moderately strong, and 2 were very weak. And what that does, it helps you to think. You need to sit down and do your area success plan, which is like your strategy document. Where are you going to have to put your efforts? Get to know your clubs. Yes, you are obliged to do a minimum of 2 visits, but what we did more than 2 visits, because there's no way you're going to get to know your club very well with only 2 visits. And when we went for the visits, we really spent time with the VPE and the president, really getting to know the clubs and seeing how to help the clubs, because that's the important thing. You're the interface with the clubs, and then you are also the interface with the division directors who interface with the DLT. Another tip is, how ambitious do you want to be? Do you want to be a distinguished club? Sorry, distinguished area, or do you just want to, do the basics? That's something for you to think about, because that will also then decide how you approach the role. And the other thing, of course, is to get as much training as you can. Go to the COT training. And as I said, have a deputy, someone who will be on the ball with you, and you can share visits, you can help to plan contests and so on. So I think I would say of the roles I've done, it's one of the most interesting. I absolutely loved working with the clubs. And if my memory hasn't failed me, all my clubs were presidents distinguished at the end, and that was no mistake. That was a deliberate, this is what we want, this is what we're going to work for, and that's what we did. And it's working with the clubs. So just a tip for you. If you're thinking of being an area director, I would say go for it. It really is. You will learn a tremendous amount, and you will also give a tremendous amount. So I would say don't hesitate. Really talk to your area directors, talk to members of the DLT, and so on, and go for it. I think you'll have great fun. That's my 2 pence worth. And I can see the division director Finnegan has his hands up.
James.
Thank you, Elizabeth and Danny. You've actually covered 2 points that I was going to say. The first thing is, don't be a stranger to your clubs. Go to as many meetings as you can. I'm not saying you have to go to everyone, but don't be a stranger to them, because the more you get to know the clubs, the more you get to know the people, and the more they get to know you. Those lines of communication are invaluable. But I do have one little hint if you're thinking of going for area director, and it was kind of glossed over earlier on, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5 months, 4.5 months left. Why don't you offer to act as assistant for the current area director? You will learn a whole pile, and you will learn so much, and you'll be able, as I think Maura said, you'd have an almost seamless continuation into the next role. I agree with both Danny and Elizabeth. It is perhaps the most rewarding, higher level role that you can do. So do have a go. Have a go. There's plenty of help. There's plenty of support. And enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Division Director James. Right. Now we've got a few. It's gone very quickly actually tonight, so that's a good sign. I'd just like to round off with a few things through a few of the practical things. I wish I could speak properly sometimes. We've talked a lot tonight about the different aspects. You know that area director visits and reports are your responsibility. You know that running the contest is your responsibility, but it's advisable. In my advice would be to bring other people on board. You can have people to help you. You don't have to do it by yourself. You can have someone who's perhaps looking at the possibilities of clubs that might be set up in your area and liaising with the club growth director to set those clubs up. That might be something that you could do. It's up to you in that role. And I hope what you've got tonight is that you make as much or as little of it as possible. As I said, I know area directors who visit every club at every meeting, and I think that's hard work, and I don't suggest it. But as District Director Elizabeth said, you've got to get to know the clubs and the people in them. Because you're their support, you're there to go in, to help them work out what they want to do with their clubs and make suggestions. And you also build up a network of other area directors, district team. You've got that support network within the district. You've got all the other area directors and division directors and the DLT. So as has been stressed, there is support in the district. You don't have to do everything on your own, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's something I would say. The process of selecting area directors that we use in District 71 is that you are voted for by the area council. So if you're interested, as Division Director James has just said, talk to your area director or your division director. Find out what issues there are in your area, because each area is different. Find out from them how they've got through this year. You can talk to me if you want to email me. You've all got my email. I don't mind talking to anybody about the role, because I've enjoyed every role I've done in Toastmasters. I have to admit, I am thoroughly enjoying this role. I've really enjoyed area director because you get into clubs. And what always I think we have to put at the front of our minds is, why are we doing it? Why do we want to be select? Why do we want to be distinguished area, select distinguished, or president distinguished? We want to do it because we are making sure that more people are benefiting from Toastmasters. If you open a new club, that's at least 20 people new to Toastmasters who are going to benefit from that. Think how you've benefited from being a Toastmaster and those people around you, the gains you've got from it. As an area director, you're there, you've got a lot more influence. You're influencing the clubs and making sure that those members are in clubs that are well run and are delivering the educational program. So as an area director, you've got that opportunity to influence all those people. And that for me is why it's important. Because of that, you'll get something out of it in terms of your personal development, and you'll get the benefit of knowing that you have done something constructive for others. And I think that is something that drives us all in Toastmasters. So there we are. I've been on my soapbox. I'll come off it now. But if you have any questions, please do come and talk to us. I would say if you're just considering it, go for it. Go and see your area director and email them and say, look, I really want to do this. I really want to contribute. We have district officer training twice a year. One will be in June, one will be at the end of November. They're opportunities for us to pass on what's happening at the moment, the current issues, train you and so on. Yeah, so go for it. And I'd like to thank, as we're just coming towards the end, I've seen District Director Elizabeth. I'll come to you in 1 minute, if I may. I'd like to thank Asma, Justin, and John very much for doing this tonight. This is the spirit of Toastmasters. I asked them and they said yes. They didn't say, well, I'll think about it. They said, no, I'll do it, you know. And they've come to share their knowledge, which for Justin it goes back so far. It's I know he doesn't mind me teasing him, but he has got that experience of 28 years in Toastmasters, and you know we've got people there that will support you, so don't worry about that. But I'd like to thank them, and they just gave their time tonight to help you to understand the role. So I'd like to just give them a round of applause and thank them for being on the panel tonight. And don't forget, you can use it as part of your pathways tonight, being on the panel. So don't forget that as well. District Director Elizabeth.
I may have missed it, but did you mention that being an AD gives you credit towards the district DTM?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No, I didn't mention it. If your pathway is to become a distinguished Toastmaster, area director will give you credit towards that. You have to have performed a year role in a district level capacity. So thank you for reminding me of that, District Director. If there are more questions, it's lovely to see so many of you, and there's still people smiling, so that's always good after a session. And yeah, next week we have how to run a contest at club, area and division, so please sign up for that on our website. Thank you very much, and I will see you soon as area directors, I hope. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Wow, everybody just keeps disappearing. Was that okay, Bhavika? You got?
Yes, perfect. I was just downloading the PDF that was shared in the chat. But thank you so much for the advice. I found it really informative.
Brilliant. Well, if you've any questions, you know where we are, and do go for it, because I think it will. I mean, I don't want to sound old, but I am old, ish. I wish I'd have found out about Toastmasters 30 years ago, when I was in the beginnings of my career. Not the beginnings. Let's not lie. When I was in my profession, because